Damn it, Kirito, stop meeting new people and do something with the damn people you know. I'm getting to the point where I have so many characters on my outline, I don't know who's who anymore. But yeah, I just got done with the 8th episode of Spirit Chronicles, and this is my thoughts on the episode. So yeah, he's royalty. Big shocker. I don't know. Like I said, if this show has anything going for him, it's just having a whole bunch of characters to meet, a whole bunch of cute girls to break their hearts, tons of overpowered moments, and just, can we make Rio any more OP and grand scale? I'm just waiting for the moment that I guess you've already had the moment where the goddess shows up and says he's a chosen one, but maybe pull a sword. He has to pull a magic sword. He still has to do that part, but we'll see if that comes in the next episode. But yeah, pretty much open up this episode with, we had this whole situation with this bad guy trying to push himself upon these two girls. He saves them. Thankfully, this Hayase guy was there to pretty much get him processed through the royal prison. And so they kind of follow them as, obviously, again, Rio is asked to help them transport this carriage, which we pretty much find out why. Yuba essentially gives this note to Hayase to give to this Goki guy, which apparently is somebody pretty high up in the royalty, at least the guard for royalty of the Karasuki kingdom. And that's where Rio ends up going to. And when Rio arrives there, they have this little moment where their hunter leader guy pretty much brings them to this, yes, a ramen noodle place, even though they want to call it something different. It is a ramen noodle place. They even have this little segment where he's like, oh, you don't know what this is? Well, and it's courtesy to slurp it as much as possible. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much ramen. That's how they treat ramen. You have to slurp and make a lot of noise to show how delicious it is, to kind of be kind to the person that made it. But yeah, so they have these noodles. Then eventually they leave him to, walk with Sayu around to do some shopping. And that's when they find this, little shop that has some pendants and hairpins. And I like the shopkeeper's like, hey, you want to buy something? Now, obviously, they have a little moment where, it's not my boyfriend. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend moment. But not only that, but he's like, pick one that you want. You've helped me out a lot. Picks one out. And the lady's trying to, make him pay a whole bunch for it. And she's like, but I can be haggled. And he's like, no, I would never haggle for a gift for a girl. I'm like, dang, dude, smooth. Get that girl into your harem along with the other 50 of them. But after this, we have this girl who's obviously, special in some way, getting attacked by some hoodlums, and he comes in. Not only does he manage to grab the guy and throw him over his shoulder, but instantaneously, after slamming the guy on the ground, is able to teleport over to this girl and catch her in midair. Yeah, good man. That was smooth, I guess. But yeah, immediately after this, he kind of ditches so that they don't discover his identity. He doesn't want any attention, so he leaves with Sayo. But yeah, this one we do find out this Goku guy pretty much reading the letter, tells him, can you show me where this Rio guy is? He's important. So they go over and they find Rio, and they take him back to this one location, not the palace, but this other location, where they inform him, yes, big shocker, your mother's name is not just Ayame, it's Ayame Karasuki, which they're in the kingdom of Karasuki, which implies, yes, your mother was royalty. So, big shocker. You are of royal bloodline. And, they basically divulge what happened to Ayame and Zen, which is his father, and why they left the kingdom and eventually got to where they were at. And that is because this kingdom that they were a part of, she was, again, a princess of this kingdom. And eventually they were at war with this other nation, and Zen was involved with, fighting on the battlefield. And eventually there was a truce created. And during this truce, apparently one of the leader of this Rakuen kingdom, that is neighboring kingdom that we're fighting, took a liking to Ayame. So he had one of his retainers basically go in there to try to kidnap her at night. And Zen showed up and took him out and stopped it. Well, they claimed right after this that Zen murdered their retainer and that they wanted his head. And not only that, but they wanted Ayame's hand in marriage to basically protect the truce. And so the king obviously knowing that Zen wouldn't do this, essentially allowed Zen to marry Ayame and for them to flee the kingdom together. And so that's how we pretty much had Zen and Ayame flee the kingdom and eventually get to where they were at. And so obviously knowing this, they ask Ryo if he could go to the castle to speak to the king and queen, which are essentially his grandparents. And so he does agree to that. He goes there, he meets. They kind of had this moment of like, can you stop being so formal? You're obviously our grandchild. And, he kind of acknowledged the fact that, yeah, the queen does look exactly like Ayame. They has a resemblance there, and they have this nice little sit together. Well, not really nice sit together because it doesn't really have much talking besides, hey, so where's my mom and or what's my daughter and Zen? And he's like, you're not going to like this. You're not going to like what I'm going to tell you. And he's like, you have to say it. So, yeah, he divulges to them, yet, yeah, he doesn't remember his father. He died too young, or his father died so early that he doesn't really remember him. But he does know what happened to his mother. And again, didn't want to tell them because it was a gruesome story. But yeah, apparently he was living with his mother. She was always happy. She never showed any kind of sign of any kind of grief over his father's loss. But eventually one day while she leaves the house to him, this guy, which we've never, it's one of those things of like, hi, big bad guy suddenly shows up. So now we know because I was kind of mentioning this with the last episode. Yeah, we do have this aspect that his mother died and he kind of wants revenge, but we didn't really know anything about it. Suddenly out of nowhere, yep, now we have a face, now we have a name. We know who the big bad guy is now, which is this guy named Lucius. But apparently this Lucius guy showed up at the house when his mother left and immediately kicks him to the floor, starts feeding him a potion, this like purple liquid potion, and says, demon who masquerade in human skins, you are now one fact smarter now. And which basically implies that he's saying that, and I guess this is kind of the aspect of them, the racism against it could be two different things. It could be the fact that it's showing the sign of racism against this particular race that Ryo is, which they've already mentioned before. Or it could be an aspect of him knowing that his bloodline is somehow corrupted in some way. Obviously, we know that Ryo has special capabilities. We know that Zen himself was incredibly powerful and was special in some way. So it either implies that it's him saying this against Ryo as that your bloodline is not natural, that you're going to find out later that he's, the bloodline of maybe Zen, probably more than likely, is demonic in some way. Or it's just the kind of, let's address this fact that, yeah, this race is really looked down upon. But either way, it's kind of like him implying that he sees Ryo as a demon, and he's trying to either poison him or affect him in some way. It doesn't say what this potion was, how it's going to affect him, what we're going to see going forward from it. It could have just been a sleeping potion because he wanted to knock out Ryo so that he could do something to the mother. I don't have any doubts that it was probably more happened to Ayame than just her being killed. I'm certain there was probably something else that happened in that scene. It's just anime. They don't want to show it. But yeah, as he's kind of knocked to the ground, it kind of shows him open his eyes a couple times. And yeah, we do see Ayame, asking, what are you doing? And then eventually, yeah, slash, and she dies. And this is what he pretty much conveys to the grandparents and eventually says, yeah, and I want to kill him. And I want revenge. And they're like, revenge is a bad path. It's going to lead you down to hell. And he's like, I don't care. I'll stain my hands. I got to get my revenge because I'm main protagonist. And this is my only goal that I have in the story because I don't really have anything else I want to do besides break harem hearts. So yeah, they're like, okay, well, we won't get in your way. But I don't know how they get to this conclusion. I'm guessing this is another just a fault of adaptations. But yeah, they're literally like, well, we won't stop you, but you should probably duel Goki, because Goki apparently had dueled Zen in the past. And he's like, and again, I don't know how they get this conclusion. We're assuming Lucius probably killed your dad, so he's probably going to be pretty strong. I mean, they did imply that Lucius was like an adventurer that worked with his father, Zen. But yeah, it's like this conclusion of, well, obviously he probably killed your dad and he was taking advantage of your mom. So you probably should fight Goki to kind of see if you're strong enough to fight Lucius. And so yeah, they have a duel and overpowered Ryo just quickly, swiftly knocks out this guy they've kind of implied is pretty tough. But that's overpowered main character. There's nothing really going to stand in his way. So I don't know that we've ever actually had a challenge that Rio has faced. I think it was probably the only struggle he's ever had in this story was probably when he first had his awakening. He was first fighting the assassin. Maybe got touched maybe twice, but been pretty much no competition ever since then. But that's fine. It's fine. It's power fantasy. It does that. But yeah, after this duel, they're like, hey, you don't have much time left. I'm not sure why they don't have much time left. So you can ask one more question, because apparently they're running out of time to be able to see each other. So he pretty much just says, hey, Ruri would probably like to know her lineage. Can I tell her? And they're like, yeah, cool. That's cool. We can do that. No, I think they said that we'll leave it up to you or something like that, which again, I guess she'd like to know that she's a cousin of royalty, I guess. So there you go. Well, no, she wouldn't really be a cousin to royalty. She would just be a niece to a guy that married a princess. I don't know that would necessarily give her any kind of lineage there, but I guess there would be a little bit of nobility that would be granted through that whole aspect. But again, that goes back to the whole idea of commoners and how nobility sees commoners, because that would essentially mean that she would have... Now, granted, Zin did go up in the ranks to a royal noble rank, but that isn't always necessarily seen as equal to those that are of noble blood. I mean, they technically lay that out pretty clearly at the beginning of this show in the idea that Rio technically did gain a rank through essentially saving the princess and being granted by the king. But what did the nobles do? They didn't see him. They still seen him as a commoner. So even if, Ruby does know that she is the niece of somebody that was given this royal noble rank, it doesn't necessarily grant her anything. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just, hey, can I let her know so that she knows that her uncle was great? I guess that's fine. But yeah, they eventually go back to the town, and Rui's wanting to know where he's at, and Sayu points over to the graves, and he's up at the gravestones and says, yeah, he's going to get his revenge, and that's where we leave it in this episode. So I guess, like I said, I was kind of questioning in the last episode. We don't really have any direction at this point because he achieved his goal, but now we're kind of given a new goal that he is, yes, planning on trying to hunt down this Lucius guy and probably knock him out in one hit because Rio's overpowered. But the question really does come is, like, what... I'm kind of curious of what kind of connection Lucius will have. Like, is he going to just be a common adventurer? Is he going to be a part of this Lions Brigade? Is he going to be a part of the Beltrum Kingdom? Because that's where he was. He was in the Beltrum Kingdom essentially when his mother died, assumingly. It just implies that his mother was killed and then he became a part of the slums of Beltrum. Does it mean that he was in Beltrum when his mother was killed? I think that's what they're implying. So it is curious if we will have this aspect that Lucius will be connected to to Beltrum in some way. And I kind of assume so, because that would be a way for him to kind of get back into kind of full circle back to the beginning of this entire story, back to the Kingdom of Beltrum. But at the same time, what is that going to mean? Are we going to get right back in this aspect of them calling him somebody that tried to kill this princess, or what? Maybe kind of just see where everybody's at now. See now that all the Beltrum, the princesses are all grown up now, and Celia is, 1 centimeter taller, and them seeing how, obviously grown up he's gotten, and his new Kirito outfit will obviously swoon them a little bit, but we'll see. That's my thoughts on episode 8 of Spirit Chronicles. Hope you guys enjoyed my impressions. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Consider supporting us on Patreon if you can. I thank y'all for watching, and y'all take care.